Cloud Island is a very unique island in MSM. It's a calm and soothing song, yet also an energetic and upbeat kind of song. This change in tone throughout its runtime has been the subject of much debate throughout the community. One more thing to note is that I'm very passionate about all the Dawn of Fire islands, as I love this game's music a lot, so strap in cause this will be a long one. Now let's see what the Monstercast crew thinks of this island. Like always, let's start with the bad stuff first. Tiawa on this island is pretty nothing. I get it's trying to do a little bit of percussive flourish to Tweedle, but it's extremely minimal in what it does and an outlier for Tiawa's otherwise really solid track record. Boss Kiss, once again, is absolutely nothing to talk about. So instead, I'm going to talk about Boss Kiss in general. This monster was just done really dirty as an adult. On the continent, its debut song, this monster was characterized by its lively vocal performance and rhythmic and catchy melodies that uses the lip blubbering aspects to its advantage. And added to the charm of that track, every island afterwards is not as rhythmic, not as lively, and it never once got a real melody either. This monster was bait for a melody role, yet the fact that they never gave him one afterwards caused this monster to fade into obscurity and forgettability. Kirby is also a track that adds nothing to the song, and like Tiawa is an outlier in its otherwise really good track record. Pom Pom and Fangler both sort of fall into the same category, where both of these tracks are pretty mixed with some really good qualities and some really bad ones. Pom Pom has a good vocal performance and fill in space that Tweedle doesn't play in, and in the younger updates of Cloud Island it was really solid overall, but as time went on and more monsters got added, the more Pom Pom started to become a little much in the later verses, but still perfectly decent. Fangler is in the same boat. This time its absolutely reverb drenched track can muddy up the song a tad towards the end of it. Incisor's track is way too random in its placements, and just simply plays too much and ends up being really annoying. Despite that, I do get that it's trying to accent off of Pom Pom and Shellbeat, but its placements completely hold it back. Reeling has a really bad sour note towards the end of the song. It makes up for it by being a decent air filler and does have a good harmony with Tweedle and Brett, but can be way too much at times. Xanadu is completely held back by its vocal performance, and steals away the transitional line from Willoughby and Tusky in the bridge. Then when Octopus does start playing, it really serves no real purpose to the monsters of that verse, other than to just exist and be annoying. Again, the vocal performance is completely up fault here, because it's really tone deaf and a little bit nasal. If the vocal performance was better, then this track would have actually added something of value to the song, but that's not the way things are. Alright, so that's a lot of monsters in the bad, which leads me to my next point of the island. The ugly of this island is that this island treats half of its roster as complete throwaway. Fangler and Pom Pom I can forgive, but everyone else is just complete throwaway. There's no reason why Tweedle and Aunt Brett needed 2 more instruments doing the same thing as them. Tiawa gets completely overshadowed by everything, and Reeling can come off as overpowering. Boss Kiss and Krillby are complete throwaway. They add absolutely nothing to the song and can be removed and nothing would change. Both Incisor and Xanadu have neat concepts but really bad execution. This leaves the island feeling very jarring in quality of the tracks, and we'll see in the second half of the island that those tracks are absolutely amazing, while these tracks are definitely very flawed. So let's talk about that second half. Dromedary has a great percussion track. It's a lot different of what the monster usually does, but considering how Shelby already hardcore carries this island, it didn't need to be the usual powerful taikos Dromedary is known for. This is a perfectly good track, only made better by the way it helps Cloud Island build up to make the climatic moments feel more natural. Without it, the build up is weakened and those climatic moments become much more jarring. Tweedle and Aunt Brett have a great harmony together. It's a very soothing harmony with Tweedle taking the gentle high notes and Aunt Brett taking the filling low notes, and making the melody really stand out. Very good at what they do. Like I said before, Pom Pom and Fangler have their downsides, but they do have their upsides. Pom Pom has a really enjoyable first track, which fills in that space that Tweedle doesn't playing, and Fangler does a really solid job transitioning into the more rhythmic verses of the song. Reeling also has its upsides, with its harmony, while pointless, still being good enough to fit in with Tweedle and Aunt Brett. Waddle is one of my favorite vocal tracks in MSM. Its melody has a fantastic rhythm and has a lot of charm to it just on its own, only made better by the amazing vocal performance that goes along with it, and sets up Cloud Island perfectly. Thrumble is the perfect opener monster. Its track is absolutely amazing at taking center stage at the start of the song. Its performance is brilliant, with it being very soothing yet present in the song, and duetting amazingly with Flummox and Waddle when they come in. Speaking of, Flummox is fantastic in every way. It's got one of the most charming melodies in Dawn of Fire and a perfect vocal performance to boot, and duets greatly with not just Thumble and Waddle, but also Pom Pom and Tweedle later on. Willoughby, Snizer, and Shelby are the lifeblood of this song. Willoughby is the complete and total package, with it being the entire instrumental line of the song. With its charming chords, great duets, its percussive nature with the strings being hit, it does everything this island needs, minus being actual percussion and bass. Snizer has absolutely glorious long and rich bass notes, which fill in all the dead air that Willoughby doesn't get. And lastly, Shelby is a perfect percussion track. Its first track adds much of the atmosphere the song needs, and its second perfectly gives the upbeat nature the song wanted, and since the song builds up to it in a natural manner, it really does work in changing the tone of the song without it feeling jarring, with the help of monsters like Dromedary and Fangler. And now for the best monster on the island. And I'll be real with you guys, Cloud is going to be in a strange place for this because the best monster on this island is going to be a three-way tie between Pango, Octopus, and Tusky. Starting with Octopus, and this is one of the best vocal tracks in the entirety of MSM. It's got rhythm, charm, personality, melody, it has it all. The gravelly voice with the charismatic and uplifting melody works so unbelievably well, it's shocking and genius. Pango then only makes it better, both standing out on its own in the bridge and only getting better with Octopus. Pango has one of the most interesting and complex rhythms MSM has ever seen on this island. The way it switches from its first track to its second so naturally and flawlessly is absurd. The castanets actually being used to their full advantage and giving much of the flair and spice the verse required is awesome. And of course, it adds a delicious second layer of rhythmic interest to the already very rhythmically interesting Octopus verse. MSM has really never seen a small percussion monster do such complex and intricate rhythms like this before. Only ever seen on big drum kit monsters like Shelby and Rero. So this is an easy top tier percussion track right here. And lastly, Tusky, which is the filling of the cake, with it complementing Willoughby perfectly in the bridge and adding lots of atmosphere to the verse. And with Octopus, it only gets better, as a little motif it does accents off of Octopus amazingly well and matches Pango's rhythms perfectly. This is straight out one of the best trios in MSM. It's got everything. Interesting and complex rhythms, charming and interesting vocals, and delicious filling make this trio absolutely perfect. So that's Cloud Island. It's quite the polarizing island to talk about, but let's see if it actually is good. Yes, it is good. The upsides heavily outweigh the downsides and make this a very enjoyable and fun island to listen to. So that's that. Do you agree or disagree? Did my words touch the sky or am I headed to rock bottom? Well, let me know in the comments below. Well, that's it from me, and I'll see you in the next one. P.S. Zigrab.